Halo Combat Evolved has a strong place in my heart. Growing up, it was the first Xbox game I've ever played, and it changed my little monkey brain forever, starting a lifelong love for the Halo franchise. When I first began this channel over 4 years ago, I started out with playing the Halo trilogy, but I didn't really like the results of that. Now that my channel is a little bit more solidified and professional, I want to go back through as a retrospective playthrough of the game on Legendary. For my Legendary playthrough, the two main strategy guides I'll be using are from two awesome Halo speedrunners, such as Jervalin and the Frogarchist, to attempt certain strats and glitches to help me make it through the campaign quicker. Watching speedrunners like them has been the reason why I want to learn these tricks. Link to both of their channels will be in the description below. I cannot give them a big enough shout out for their videos. Let me be clear, however, this is a casual playthrough. I love Halo and I want to upload more Halo content, but it's been a while since I ran through CE on Legendary and my run wasn't perfect. Also throwing in different strats and tricks that I haven't tried before definitely put a spin on things, so please sit back and enjoy my experience playing Halo Combat Evolved on Legendary.
Man, we let those dumb bugs out to the middle of nowhere to keep from getting their filthy claws on Earth. But we stumbled onto something they're so hot for that they're scrambling over each other to get it. Well, I don't care if it's God's own anti-son-of-a-bitch machine or a giant hula hoop, we're not gonna let them have it. What we will let them have is a belly full of lead and a pool of their own blood to drown in. Am I right, Marines?
Sir, yes, sir!
Damn right I am.
Sir?
Right. Let's thaw him out.
Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. Cracking the case in 30 seconds.
Going to the Pillar of Autumn, I honestly wasn't too worried about it. The first part was waiting for the door to open, following the path until you get to the bridge, and then we can trigger a cutscene early in the hallway. Ignore Captain Dialogue over here, and one awesome trick we can actually do on POA is having 3 different weapons at the same time. You can trigger this by immediately booking it out of the bridge to the cafe, skipping the grunts in your pistol spawning in. Murder these 2 elites and pick up your plasma weapon of choice. For most of my run, I'll be using the plasma pistol because that shit slaps in CE. Head back to the bridge and we can hit a trigger, loading in the first batch of grunts in your pistol, giving you 3 weapons for the remainder of POA. Abusing the 3 weapon glitch for the rest of POA, you shoot, throw grenades, and keep your focus on elites. Use your plasma pistol to take them out quickly. Besides some minor instances like getting hung up in the hallways and waiting for my shield to recharge, Pillar of Autumn was a first solid level, and before I knew it, I was boarding my life pod heading towards Halo.
Oh no.
Now would be a very good time to leave.
Punch it.
Ah, sir. We're coming in too fast.
I knew the second level was going to be long and drawn out. I did what I can to save time and keep moving forward, such as not helping out the Marines during the first firefight against Cortana's wishes.
Where are you going? That lifeboat's beacon is our only chance of getting reunited with the rest of the crew. We have to stay with it.
We're not playing by the rules this time, Cortana. Cortana would be getting the last laugh, however, because I absolutely underestimated how much it sucks to run around this area on foot. After we enter what is absolutely a natural cave, we'll come across a gap in the floor and our first grenade jump on the run. Aiming right about here on the wall, we can throw a frag grenade and jump across right as the frag is ready to go off, and you can cross the gap no problem. The first section requires us to activate a switch to cross the bridge with elites, grunts, and jackals protecting it. I hugged the wall to the right in the shadows and followed it all the way until I hit the corner to try to avoid any detection from enemies. That is, until I hit the ramp. With this being a random strat, I tried using the wall a few more times, but ended up becoming too time consuming, so I stayed back, taking out the enemies one by one, and stay in combat so this way you can avoid hitting any cutscene with the bridge and continue on forward. Past the bridge is a whole lot of walking, but we'll make our way out of the cave into our first set of
Still covering
Marines.
that structure. Let's check it out.
Instead of saving the Marines, I kill them off in hopes of saving time to try to get through this level quicker. You pick up a sniper and it's rinse and repeat, killing off your Marines to finish the level. Now that I've replayed through the second level again, I feel like it's slightly drawn out, and if I practice it more, I can probably get it done a lot more quicker. Overall, it's nothing too fancy. Let's move on to T.A.R.
The enemy has captured Captain Keyes and are holding him aboard one of their cruisers. The Truth and Reconciliation...
I'm not gonna lie, Truth and Reconciliation was one of my worst levels this playthrough with a lot of deaths. I didn't necessarily have too many strategies or glitches I was confident in using all the way, so I would just have to tough this one out and play through how it's mostly intended. I fought my way past the first canyon, taking out jackals, grunts, and elites along the way. Pick up this active camo here, and we're on to the next grab lift section where we take out some grunts. Once you're to the grab lift section, you get to a good spot. You can prepare yourself for a quick way of fighting through the final waves from the ship. Once one enemy is left alive, the next wave will come down. Some well-placed grenades, sniper shots, the final wave of hunters will come down, and you're all done with the grab lift and on to the belly of the beast. Once inside, we're going to pick up this active camo and use the sniper to dome all the enemies in the first room.
Lots of contact! No covenant.
There's a lot of shit here to fight, so don't expect your Marines to survive past this room. I don't have much faith in the CE Marines. Go down the hall and hit this load by the door and try not to get your ass slapped by the hunter while you're running back. We take the hallway all the way up with no interference. Okay, there's slight interference from grunts and elites, so dealing with them, we can move through the hallway to the next room, jump down here, activate this button to progress. I quickly run over and start fighting this blue elite before he leaves the corner. On T.A.R., if any enemy gets too close to a locked door, it'll automatically open. If we use this logic, we can manipulate doors into opening to progress quicker. And just like that, you're through the door and onto the shuttle bay. The firefight in the shuttle bay was a little bit harder than I was expecting, and it cost me a few deaths. There's enemies on both the ground and above floors firing at you, so if you're not quick and paying attention, your shields can drop quickly. After taking my time and hiding behind a few crates and taking out enemies one by one, we're ready for our next door skip. Using the previous technique with the blue elite, if we get a hunter to aggro on us, we can use them to open up any locked doors in our way. Note, he will try to grab a hold of Master Cheeks, so make sure you're at a reasonable distance. Moving away to the top section, we use a needler to take out the elite and keep pushing forward. In the control room, if you're stealthy enough and figure out where the patrols are going, melee 3 grunts. You can time patrols correctly with the gold elite, and you can hide right in this dead spot in the middle of the ramp and wait to strike, taking out most of the room without an issue. Moving the prison cells, we take out enemies that are nearby. Activate the cutscene, saving Captain Keyes, or should I say Captain Exposition. It's actually kind of funny if you watch the developer commentary over this, they make a good funny comment about it.
Marines, lock
The level where we, in a more elegant way, described this.
Here it comes. What do they call it?
They call it Halo.
Well, of course they do.
Accessing the Covenant battle net.
Chief takes it in stride. Come on.
Yeah.
Chief knows exposition when he hears it.
By the Ring's Arbiter, Keyes and the Marines have absolutely the worst goddamn AI in the game. From Keyes getting clapped by friendlies, from throwing frags, this slimy bastard with this shit-eating grin is a pain in the ass to escort. Truth and Reconciliation was definitely a wake-up call for how brutal the game can be if you're not smart enough and strategize on higher difficulties. Thankfully, the next mission, I had confidence, wouldn't be too hard to run through. Silent Cartographer starts out with a big beach battle that I used to love as a kid.
Somewhere under...
This time, however, I'm an adult and I have no time for that nonsense, so we're going to go to the left, skipping all that, picking a warthog for the next door skip. This is the first time I was going to be trying to do this on Legendary, and with the bulkiness of CE Warthog and the correct lineup to launch on the door, it definitely took me a few good tries. Eventually though, I squeezed that big bastard through the door and we made it.
Don't let them lock the doors.
Look at this schmuck, he's so surprised we made it, he's not even gonna move. After we get our checkpoint, we can line up for our next huge time saver, but a very difficult jump to pull off. This is not easy, and it definitely took me some practice in the correct lineup. You have to line up with the ramp here below and kind of hit it in a way to where you bounce off, breaking your fall, and you can skip a good chunk of the level. It will take a lot of your health, but you can just wait for that to regen, have another small jump down, and before you know it, you're already to the map location. There's another huge grenade jump that you can do to skip the rest of the level, making your way up quicker. Unfortunately, I'm not skilled enough to do that, so instead I found my way all the way to the top like you would normally progress. While searching around for a medkit, I did find one of those hidden MOAs in a corner, and I thought that was kind of funny to find during my playthrough. Once you're in the main corridor, make sure you take out the gold elite. He's going to be a little pissed off about earlier. Take out a few invisible elites, hop aboard the Pelican, and that's the end of Silent Cartographer. Honestly, over all the years, Silent Cartographer hasn't really changed in my mind. It's still a really fun level to play through, and it's a good break between Truth and Reconciliation and Assault on the Control Room, which would be one of our biggest skips this playthrough. This next trick was a must. Playing through this level regularly on Legendary would have been a Truth and Reconciliation all over again. So once again, I have to give a huge shout out to the Frogarchist for his video on Banshee Grab, link in the description below. Banshee Grab is a very technical glitch that consists of standing in a precise spot, taking out the grunt next to you, throwing 2 grenades at stationary guns, crouching at a very specific time, having the Banshee fly underneath this part in the wall, causing the pilot to eject, letting you grab a hold of the Banshee and fly through the rest of the level with no enemies spawning in. Banshee Grab probably took me about a good 20 to 25 minutes to get it down repeatedly, but as soon as you do it, it is such a good strategy to use, especially for Legendary or Deathless runs. I'm going to be returning to this strat later on down the line. Since we never crossed the first bridge, no enemies are going to spawn in for the rest of the level, so it's all smooth sailing for the rest. There's another speedrunning trick where we can shove the Banshee through this door here and kind of line it up in a very specific spot. And punching the Banshee in 3 different locations, we can teleport ourselves to the ice bridge near the control room. Or at least that's what's supposed to happen. It turned out to be a little tricky, and instead I just walked through the next Banshee, flew to the control room, and ended the level really quick. Since I skipped a good majority of Assault on the Control Room, I feel like I couldn't really give it a good review, but I remember loving it as a kid, and I wouldn't want to fight through it on Legendary now.
You alright?
In order to... Wait. No, that can't be. Oh, those Covenant fools. They must have known. There must have been signs.
Slow down. You're losing me.
The Covenant found something. Buried in this ring. Something horrible. And now they're afraid.
Something buried? Where?
The captain. We've got to stop the captain.
Keys?
The weapons cache he's looking for. It's not really... We can't let him get inside.
I don't understand.
There's no time. Get out of here. Find keys. Stop him.
I still love this level. Even 22 years later, I feel like it still holds up so well. With Marty's music in the background to tone the level, the setting, the flood reveal was handled so well. Straight out of the Pelican, we're going to go left, past the downed Pelican, to the back of the swamp in the corner. Using this rock in a low-angled hill, we can use it to get to the facility even faster. We take the lift to the ground floor, taking out small groups of grunts and jackals in the first room. I did try to attempt one of the harder glitches in the playthrough, which is a grenade jump in the back corner of the room, lining up with the wall. And you can get yourself phased through the floor, and if you walk on a tightrope to a very specific spot in the wall here, we can crouch and walk through and phase through the wall, skipping the flood reveal, getting you to this section here, saving you massive amounts of time. Unfortunately, it was a little too tough for me to pull off in a consistent way, so I just had to resort to the level playing normally.
I'll blow your brains out!
Sorry, man, it's for your own good. The flood was a big twist for the story back in the day in 2001, setting the tone for the next half of the game and the story and what happened to the facility before we arrived.
What's that? Plasma scoring?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was an accident, you know, friendly fire or something?
What do we have, Sergeant? Looks like a Covenant patrol. Badass elite units. All KIA.
Real pretty. Friend of yours?
Nah, we just met.
Looking at the setup for the flood as a whole and the recording left behind for us to find by Private Jenkins, this level did a phenomenal job with setting up the atmosphere and the horror of the flood.
Don't even think about it, Marine.
Oh, this is local!
The first set of flood forms you're going to come across are popcorn flood or infection forms. These little bastards aren't too hard to deal with, they just become a hassle later on while you're in the middle of a firefight or if your shields are low. We wait for the door to open and all hell to break loose. I love how chaotic everything gets as soon as the flood is introduced, and now since the Covenant are attacking you, they're afraid running away. Follow some corridors back to the rest of the facility, and to our last trick of the level, camo jump. Grabbing overshields right here and immediately bolting back inside. You can pick up active camo right here and line up for a jump on this pillar. We do a crouch jump, jump across to the next platform, and we can skip a small firefight and get to the last lift. The only thing you'll have to do is fight through some small combat forms, move at a quick pace and you'll be okay, hit the final lift, and we'll make our way to some Marines to finish out the level. After the swamp battle, the end of the level is tied to the Sentinels dying, so once you kill them off, it's just a timer and 343 Guilty Spark is done.
Greetings. I am the monitor of Installation 04.
343 Guilty Spark is still one of my top favorites in the Halo trilogy. Music, tone, and setting all wrap up to make a great mission. The same cannot be said, however, for the next one. Oh, the notorious library. Words cannot explain how much I was dreading playing through this goddamn level. Skips and strategies would be key in progressing. First, right as we spawn in, we're going to use a grenade jump to hop on this, to hop over the wall, skipping and triggering loading in enemies. We're going to use this little guy over here to remove his arm. He's not going to need that. And this trick is called flood bumping. We're going to lead him to the first door that we have to get through, line him up with this correct position on the door, get our very helpful volunteer to stand in his correct spot, kill him. Once we stand on top of him, he'll reanimate, bumping you through the door. Although it does look open in front of us, you have to work your way through some geometry, but slap some butter on yourself and keep pushing forward and you can make it. However, breaking the game will come with some unexpected things that might happen. I fell straight into the blue void attempting this multiple times. The first door of the library is all about running and gunning and keeping a good pace. Unfortunately, with speed comes the risk of taking a lot of damage, and since I was just trying to push towards the elevator as fast as I could, I definitely died a few times. After 2 deaths, we reached the first elevator, and that was the first floor of library. Running low on ammo, both of my weapons, I was starting to get a little concerned I might back myself into a corner. So for the second floor, we hit a load, and we jump on this pillar over here. This will stop any flood from spawning in, we just have to deal with the popcorn flood. As soon as the door opens, move through with spark. I only had 5 bullets left, so I took the inside path with the ring, avoiding any contact with my enemies, making my way over to the other side. For this door, you can use a grenade jump. Unfortunately, since I was running low, I couldn't do anything, so I just had to wait around. Once the door opened, my top priority was going to be getting another weapon. The Flood like to have a pack mentality, so getting one alone was going to be a bit of a struggle. I took out some popcorn Flood, leading a combat form straight to me. It was a close call, but I ended up getting 2 weapons out of it, so it was kind of worth it. Taking out enemies as fast as I could, I kept trying to push forward despite having low health. Then we come face to face with Rocket Flood and Carrier forms. This hallway is brutal if you rush. After one more death from this rocket-wielding asshole, I focused my fire in the Carrier forms, causing a chain reaction. Took out the Rocket Flood and grabbed the rockets for myself. You can use the rocket to take out large groups of Flood chasing you, giving you some breathing room while you're running. The second floor was getting slightly okay, but I was getting agitated. Compared to the first floor, we were doing better with some more weapons and ammo, and we arrive at the third floor. Continuing to follow Spark to the next door we have to eventually wait at.
I would conjecture that the other species currently on the installation is responsible for releasing the flood. They seem most persistent in their attempts to access restricted areas.
Isn't your responsibility making sure the Flood doesn't get out? You're telling me you watched the Covenant? Unleash the Flood? I'm starting to think this guy's a little fishy. We go to the next door where there's a small holdout section, but it's not hard at all. My health was low, so I did what I could to try to keep my distance from the Flood and take them out one by one. I managed to find a health pack, but my health wouldn't last very long, so I just kept pushing forward and shooting as much as I absolutely could. This was brutal, though. I did find another health pack, and I wasn't looking to waste it again, so I decided to opt out and not fight anyone, and if you wait in this corner, no Flood will come and attack you. The door will open up, and you can move on through. Third floor wasn't bad, and having the rocket launcher definitely helped with dispatching enemies quickly, and I was just ready to get done and over with the fourth floor. On the fourth floor, we have a few more firefights we have to get through, fighting the final elevator, and finally finishing this horde level.
I'll retrieve the index.
The library was just as horrible as I thought it was going to be. Using glitches and strategies to make it through definitely helped out a lot, and I wouldn't want to go back through and do this shit again.
Protocol requires that I take possession of the index for transport. Your organic form renders you vulnerable to infection. The index must not fall into the hands of the Flood before we reach the control room and activate. Which means that any organism with sufficient mass and cognitive capability is a potential vector. Is something wrong?
No, nothing.
Splendid, shall we?
2 Betrayals is going to be the last level that was going to give me a lot of shit this playthrough. I did know some tricks, but I didn't know all of them for this level, nor did I feel comfortable with trying to attempt them. To begin with, we have an excellent cutscene explaining exactly what Halo does, and there's a lot of conflict between Cortana and the Monitor, having Master Chief sit there and divide them both.
Get set to slit our throats.
Hold on now. He's a friend.
Oh, I didn't realize. He's your pal, is he? Your chum? Do you have any idea what that bastard almost made you do?
Out.
You have no idea how this ring works, do you? Why the Forerunners built it? Halo doesn't kill Flood. It kills their food. Humans, Covenant, whatever. We are all equally edible. The only way to stop the Flood is to starve them to death. And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life. You don't believe me? Ask him.
Is it true?
More or less.
Now that Spark doesn't like us, the Sentinels are going to be against us, and let me tell you right now, they're not too much of a pain in the ass to deal with, but when you have other factions to deal with, the Sentinel beams do get a little annoying. Much like the elites, we can take them out pretty quickly with the plasma pistol. To avoid having large amounts of enemies spawning in this section, we're going to be using a technique by taking out the Sentinels here, followed by taking out the Red Elite, and our goal is to have a few grunts left behind. Hit this button twice, and if you do it correctly, you should only have 2 Jackals and 2 Elites spawning in. After dealing with them, you can take this ramp all the way up, and you can top off on some health, extra ammo, and you continue on. It's important to note that since we did do the door skip here, no enemies will be spawning in, so in order to correctly progress, you have to go back and hit that button, so this way the enemies will spawn in for the rest of the level. There's a lot to unpack in this level, and since we're so far in the video already, I'll do my best to go ahead and just skip to the important parts. The level is basically just assault on the control room backwards, but just with more enemies and Flood mixed in. We find the first pulse generator and take it out, move on to the next one. The room with Flood in them absolutely have you on your toes at each turn, and if you don't take them out in a good precise way, you can get overwhelmed pretty quickly and not progress. Yet again, it was time to face off with another rocket flood. I had no time for his monkey business. I named this section the Flood Bridge, and crossing it was a huge annoyance. From the flood on the ground, from the flood across the way on the next bridge, and the Banshees in the sky shooting at you. You have enemies constantly coming at you, and you have to go ahead and kill them in a good, precise way and keep pushing forward. Find our way back outside, and we hop in a Ghost. And borrow a Banshee from these elites here. I'm sure they're not going to mind. Okay, they seem a little pissed off. Let's go. Go to the pulse generator room. Take out the Flood here. We're on our second generator, down to the last.
That did it. The pulse generator overloaded. One more to go.
We make our way outside and take another Banshee. Fly to the last pulse generator. Finally ending this level.
Let's find a ride and get to the captain.
2 Betrayals is generally not liked by fans due to the fact it's assault and control room backwards with more enemies added in. Out of all the levels this playthrough, this one was the most annoying, and I was glad to be done.
Unfortunately, each jump requires a rather consequential expenditure of energy.
Something tells me I'm not gonna like this.
But I'm pretty sure I can pull it from your suit without permanently damaging your shields. Needless to say, I think we should only try this once.
Do it.
From what I've been able to piece together, their leadership ordered all ships to abandon Halo when they found the Flood, but they were too late. The Flood overwhelmed this cruiser and disabled it. The Covenant are terrified the Flood will repair the ship and use it to escape from Halo. They've sent in a strike team to neutralize the Flood and repair the ship for immediate departure. I've got a good lock on Captain Keyes' CNI transponder signal. He's alive, and the implants are intact.
After 2 Betrayals, Keyes was going to be short and simple. For our next huge skip, we would need to play in remaster graphics to line it up correctly. At the start of the level, we grab the attention of this Flood running by, have him follow back like we did with the combat forum in the library to get to the start for another Flood bump. Using this black smudge right here on the wall, we can use our assault rifle reticle, line up with the black smudge correctly, stand, have our Flood buddy stay in his exact spot where he is, aim for the top right of the head and stand on top of him, and once he reanimates, he'll bump you through the wall and onto the rest of the mission. We can hit a load over here so this way we can progress correctly, and you'll come across these enemies that haven't loaded in and they don't have any animations, so they're not going to trigger until the cutscene. Make sure you take out these small groups of enemies, however, because they will kill Master Chief during the cutscene, and it's actually kind of funny to watch. Well, that's just kind of cheating. If you don't take them out as soon as the cutscene is over with, you'll immediately get attacked. Something I did want to mention was the terminal for Captain Keyes. Out of all the Halo terminals, this one always stood out to me. How absolutely horrific it was to see Jacob Keyes go through what he did in his final moments, being turned into a proto-Gravemind.
What is that damn noise?
Truly horrifying shit.
Let's go go back to
We smash his Key's head in and we get through the door before any enemies have a chance to enter. If we throw a grenade, we can push our way through, taking a Banshee that lands in the hangar, and just like that, Keyes is done. The beginning flood bump makes this level so short, and on Legendary or even Deathless run, it will be my go-to for this mission. Keyes was another rehashing of a previous level, so it wasn't too special. Last thing to do was return to where it all started and complete this playthrough. If I had a top 5 for Halo missions in the entire trilogy, the Maw would be on that list. I gave previous levels that were reused a low opinion, and the Maw is no exception to that flaw. However, its reused environment, I've always loved the Maw. Seeing the Pillar of Autumn in such a crippled state, battling all factions with one mission in mind, returning to where it all started, to finish it all off in one big finale.
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
The majority of this level would be played like the rest of the missions normally, however I did have one trick up my sleeve I was going to try. Taking out this small group of Flood, and if you're lucky enough you can get a shotgun spawn. We line up right here with the door right before it burst open and jump up, shoving yourself out of bounds to the top of the map, and you can skip the hallway. Some geometry is going to be a little tricky to jump on. Just keep yourself lined up with the ceiling beams and the lights and you can hop your way through. Popcorn Flood will take little bites at your toesies, but don't worry about them, they're not an issue. It's best to do this trick on remaster graphics like I did so you can see the ceiling beams and where to hop to. On Classic, where it was discovered, it was all invisible and it was a huge guessing game most of the time. We hop over this threshold so we can hit a load, and don't jump into the blackness, you will fall into nothingness. Just like any other trick that breaks the map, sometimes unexpected things can happen. Or you get launched down instead of up. This took me a few times to get down correctly, but once you do, it's a really good strat. You can also use this hunter in the door, bashing it open, skipping the whole cafe section. Instead, I'm going to use my brute force and good looks to just speed and continue normally. Cortana and Chief start a countdown to blow up the Autumn, but their plans are surely interrupted by Spark, who's still talking shit for a guy who's about to lose his Halo ring.
I will enjoy every moment of its categorization.
Take the Flood on in droves, fighting our way to the armory through the cryo bay. There's a lot going on in the cryo bay, so I was quick to move through and focus to the next hallway of Flood. And once at the armory, we stock up with the rockets and grenades for the engine room. The only strategy I had was getting in the reactors, opening them, and destroying them quickly, because the longer you're in this room, more enemies spawn in, and it's a pain in the ass. So speed was main goal. In short time, all 4 reactors were destroyed, and the Pillar of Autumn was falling apart. And it was time for the first Warthog run. Alright, not a great start. Let's try this again. Balls deep and pedal to the floor. Oh, I gotta go for the 360 swag. Alright, well, close enough. I love the Warthog CE run. My only complaint is how chunky the CE Warthog feels at times when handling, but that didn't distract me from the awesome finale of this level. This was definitely not an optimized playthrough, but as I approached the end of the level, I felt a sense of accomplishment, going back to my roots as a gamer and beating CE on Legendary all these years later. It was a bittersweet feeling to finally finish.
We're cutting it close!
This is it, baby. Hold me.
Halo CE on Legendary was a blast to play through, and again, not only for this retrospective, but to go back to classic Halo for a few days and be immersed in that world all over again was a delight. This was awesome to make for the channel, and I really hope you guys like this type of video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and stay up to date for my next installment of my Halo retrospective playthroughs.
Halo. It's finished.
No. I think we're just getting started.